Some days, studying doesn't feel hard. It feels heavy. Not dramatic, not stressful, just slow. You sit down, you open your notes, and nothing moves. Your eyes scan words, but they don't stick. Your thoughts drift after a few seconds. Even small tasks feel larger than they should. This isn't procrastination, and it isn't laziness. It's low cognitive energy, and most study advice ignores that completely. The mistake most students make on low energy days. When energy drops, students usually respond in one of two ways. They either force long study sessions and burn out, or give up entirely and feel guilty later. Both responses make the problem worse because the brain doesn't respond well to pressure when it's already depleted. Low energy days require a different strategy, not more effort. Why energy matters more than motivation. Motivation gets a lot of attention. Energy rarely does. But learning depends far more on energy availability than desire. Neuroscience shows that attention, memory formation, and decision-making all decline when mental energy is low. That's why rereading feels easier than recalling. Distraction feels stronger. Starting feels unusually difficult. Trying to push through ignores biology. Effective students don't fight this, they work with it. The first adjustment: change the starting point. On low energy days, the goal is not progress, the goal is entry. Most students start too high. Finish this topic, study for an hour, revise everything. The brain interprets that as cost, and when energy is low, cost feels dangerous. So high-performing students reduce the starting requirement until the brain no longer resists. Not logically small, emotionally small. Examples: writing the topic name, opening the book, reading one paragraph, answering one basic question. If the brain doesn't push back, the task is the right size. This works because the brain doesn't avoid work, it avoids overload. Why removing pressure changes everything. Pressure doesn't increase effort, it increases avoidance. So on low energy days, productive students remove commitment completely. No timers, no quotas, no promises. They don't tell themselves they must continue. They tell themselves, I can stop after this. That single thought lowers internal resistance. Once resistance drops, action becomes possible. And once action starts, the brain often follows quietly. Studying without relying on focus. Focus is not a personality trait, it's a state. And on low energy days, that state is fragile. Instead of trying to concentrate harder, effective students reduce friction. They eliminate nearby distractions, use one material at a time, sit in environments that don't stimulate. This isn't discipline, it's environmental design. The fewer decisions the brain has to make, the more energy remains for learning. Why recall beats reading when tired? Low energy makes passive studying attractive. Reading feels safe, highlighting feels productive, but recognition is not learning. The brain learns when it is forced to retrieve information, even imperfectly. So instead of rereading, effective students switch to recall, explaining concepts aloud, writing what they remember, answering questions without notes. Even short recall attempts strengthen memory more than long exposure. This works because memory improves during retrieval, not repetition. Short sessions aren't a weakness, they're strategic. Long sessions look impressive, but they're inefficient when energy is low. Attention drops, encoding weakens, fatigue builds. Strong students stop early, not because they're done, but because they're protecting tomorrow. The brain remembers how studying feels. If it ends in exhaustion, resistance increases next time. If it ends neutrally, the brain stays open. Consistency comes from emotional memory, not discipline. Messy work still counts. Low energy studying doesn't look clean. Notes are incomplete, understanding is partial, progress is uneven. That's fine. Learning is cumulative. One imperfect session doesn't matter. What matters is maintaining contact with the material. Even brief engagement prevents forgetting and reduces future resistance. The deeper shift that makes this sustainable. Over time, something subtle happens. The brain stops associating studying with pressure. Starting feels less threatening.
Avoidance
Aha,
weakens,
that's the connection.
not because
Let
of
me jot this down
motivation,
before I
because the
forget.
brain has learned
Yes, this will
this
work
is
perfectly.
manageable. Identity changes quietly through repeated action, not big wins, small starts. What this approach accepts. This method works because it accepts reality. Energy fluctuates, focus varies, some days are slow. Instead of fighting these facts, it adapts. High energy days to deeper work, low energy days to minimal engagement. Same direction, different intensity. If today feels heavy, don't fix everything. Lower the task, remove pressure, do one small action. That's enough. Because progress doesn't disappear on low energy days, it just moves more quietly. And quiet progress repeated often enough is what actually lasts.